All right, you little fifth graders. Time to learn how to add and subtract decimals. Make sure that you have a sheet of paper out and ready to rock and roll. We are going to add these decimals. I'm going to do this one first for you. Step number one, I write these numbers down. 285 and 34 hundredths. Now, my second number, I've got to make sure my decimals line up. It is very important when you add decimals that they line up. Now all you have to do is add. 8 plus 4 is 12. 6 plus 3 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Bring down the 0. Carry the 1. 5 plus 3 plus 1 is 9. 8 plus nothing is 8. 2 plus nothing is 2. Now, my final step, I simply bring down a decimal, and that is my final answer. 289 and 200. Very important that you line up the decimal. All right, the next one. I want you to do this one. Line up the decimals, add it, put the decimal in the answer where it belongs. Pause the video. All right. Here it is, nice and lined up. Make sure you line them up by their place, by their decimal. I have a blank spot here. You should have put a 0 there as a placeholder. And that's all you have to do. And now we just simply make sure we add correctly. 0 plus 9 is 9. 2 plus 6 is 8. 3 plus 7 is 10. Bring down the 0, carry the 1. 7 plus 3 plus 1 is 11. Bring down the 1, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. Now, my final step, bring the decimal down. There's my answer. 610 and 89 hundredths. All right, the next one. Do the same thing. Line it up the way it's supposed to be. Add zeros if you have to for placeholders. Add it and then put the decimal in the right place. Pause the video. All right. There it is, lined up the way it's supposed to be. The decimals are lined up, the places are lined up. I ended up with a blank spot here, so I'm going to add my 0. There you have it. Now all we got to do is add. 0 plus 1 is 1. 5 plus 8 is 13. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 3 plus nothing is 3. Bring down my decimal. There's my answer. 35 and 31 hundredths. All right. Excuse me. Now it's time to practice subtraction. I'm going to do this first one for you. 176 and 37 hundredths minus 23 and 21 hundredths. Here it is, lined up perfectly. You always make sure the decimals are lined up, the places. For example, the hundreds place is over the hundreds place. The tenths is over the tenths. The sixes, or the ones is over the ones. The tens is over the tens. Then you just simply subtract. 7 minus 1 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. 6 minus 3 is 3. 7 minus 2 is 5. 1 minus nothing is 1. My last step, bring down the 0. My answer is 153 and 16 hundredths. All right, you try. Remember, if there's a blank spot, put in a 0 as a placeholder. You may have to subtract when you borrow. You should know how to do all that. You're a 5th grader. Pause the video. All right. Here it is. This is what it looks like when you've lined it up correctly. I have a blank spot here. I add a 0. Now, 0 minus 8 is not 8. You better not have that at all. Okay? You've got to borrow from the 9. You make it an 8. You change the 0 to a 10. Borrowing. Do not forget. Now I can subtract. 10 minus 8 is 2. I cannot subtract 8 minus 9. I can't do that. You better not have an 8 minus 9 is 1 here. You better not. I've got to borrow. The 5 becomes a 4. The 8 becomes an 18. Now I can subtract. 18 minus 9 is 9. 4 minus 4 is 0. 4 minus nothing is 4. You bring down the decimal. The answer is 40 and 92 hundredths. Don't forget borrowing and subtraction. You should know that well by 5th grade. That shouldn't be a problem. All right. For some reason, I wrote it down twice. I guess I liked it. There you go. All right, let's subtract this one. Last practice problem for today, and then you got an assignment. Pause the video. All right. Step number 1, you write it down correctly. 973 and 285. This one lines up perfectly. And you subtract. And that's it. Didn't have to add any zeros. All right, all we got to do now is subtract. And some of these we may have to borrow. 5 minus 4 is 1. 8 minus 0 is 8. 2 minus 7, I can't do it. I must come over here to borrow. The 3, I take 1 away, it becomes a 2. The 2 becomes a 12. Now, 12 minus 7 is 5. 2 minus 8, I can't do it. I have to come over here, take 1 away from the 7, it becomes a 6. The 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 8. It is 4. 6 minus 2. It is 4. And 9 minus 3 is 6. I bring down my decimal. 644 and 581,000. There you have it. Adding and subtracting with decimals. Make sure you line up the decimals. Line up the place. Make sure you put in placeholders when necessary. If you subtract, Make sure you check if you have to borrow. Make sure you put that decimal point in the last place in your answer.